My name is Rachel Parker, and I'm 32 years old. I've always been the kind of woman who pays attention to the little things, subtle changes in tone, tiny shifts in behavior, the way someone's eyes move when they talk to you. But sometimes, even the most observant person can get blindsided. 2 months ago, my boyfriend of 4 years, Evan, surprised me with a brand new iPhone. It wasn't my birthday, our anniversary, or even a holiday. We've been arguing a little lately about his late nights at work, the mysterious, urgent calls he'd take in the other room. But I brushed it off. When he handed me the box, wrapped neatly with silver ribbon, I felt a rush of guilt for even doubting him. "I just thought you deserved something nice," he'd said, smiling that boyish grin that always made me melt. I believed him. Or maybe I wanted to believe him. The phone was pristine, no scratches, no fingerprints, still smelling faintly of that new electronic scent. But when I powered it on, I noticed something strange. Instead of prompting me to set up from scratch, it went straight to the home screen, already filled with apps. Guess he set up for me, I thought, figuring he wanted to make it easier. It even had my number in the contacts. It wasn't until a week later that I found them. The message that started it all. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon. I was curled up on the couch, scrolling aimlessly, when I opened the Messages app to text my best friend. That's when I saw a conversation at the top. No contact name, just a heart emoji. I tapped it, and the world tilted. "Evan, last night was amazing. I can still smell you on my shirt." Heart emoji. "I miss you already." Counting the hours until we're alone again. My hands went cold. At first, I thought maybe it was old, something from before we met. But the time stamps told a different story. These were from 3 nights ago. The same night Evan told me he had to work late because his client meeting ran over. I shouldn't have looked further, but I did. The conversation went back months. Flirty messages. Inside jokes I'd never heard before. Photos, some of her, some of him, one of them together in bed. I stared at one selfie for so long that my vision blurred. His arm around her bare shoulders, his face pressed against her hair, the same crooked grin he'd given me the day he handed me this phone. My stomach churned. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. It hit me then. The phone wasn't brand new. It was hers. Maybe she upgraded, and he decided to pass the old one to me. Maybe he thought wiping it was too much work, or maybe he was just sloppy. But one thing was clear. He had given me her phone, still loaded with the evidence of their affair. The gift wasn't a gesture of love. It was a mistake. A monumental, relationship-shattering mistake. When Evan came home that night, I was sitting at the kitchen table with the phone in front of me. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just pushed it toward him and said, "You forgot to delete her." The color drained from his face. "Ratch, Save it." I snapped, my voice low but shaking. "I know everything. The nights you worked late. The weekends you said you were visiting your brother. The reason you suddenly cared about hitting the gym at 6 a.m. He tried to explain. Claimed it didn't mean anything, that it was just physical. But I'd read enough to know that was a lie. You don't write love notes to someone you don't care about. You don't buy her the same flowers you bring home to me. When he reached for my hand, I pulled back. You didn't just cheat on me, Evan. You replaced me. And then you handed me the proof like it was a present. He followed me as I packed my things, begging me not to leave, promising it was over with her. But I'd seen too much. As I walked out the door, I tossed the phone back onto the couch. "Give it back to her," I said coldly. Seems like it was hers to begin with. It's been 6 weeks since that night. He's tried calling from different numbers, sending emails, even showing up at my work. I don't respond. Sometimes I still wonder what would have happened if he'd wiped the phone before giving it to me. Would I still be living a lie? Would I still be the woman who thought a random gift meant love instead of guilt? But then I remind myself, truth has a way of slipping through the cracks. And sometimes the biggest betrayal hides in the smallest details. And in my case, it fit right in the palm of my hand. If you want, I can also make you a thumbnail image prompt in bold, scandal-style short title for this exact story, so it looks like a dramatic betrayal headline. That would make it perfect for posting. A month later, I ran into one of our mutual friends at the grocery store. She told me, in a hushed voice, that Evan was already official with her, that they'd been posting photos, pretending they'd only just started dating. For a split second, the old Rachel, the one who believed his lies, wanted to feel hurt. But instead, I felt nothing, because I'd learned something important. When someone shows you who they are, you don't wait for a second performance. You believe them the first time. I walked out of that store with my head high, a fresh bouquet of flowers in my cart, not from him, but for myself. And as for that phone, I replaced it with a brand new one of my own. One that's mine alone, with no ghosts in the messages and no lies in the camera roll. Some gifts are meant to make you happy. Others are meant to set you free. Evan's gift did both. 3 weeks after I left, Evan tried one last time. He showed up at my apartment with a bouquet of white lilies, my favorite, and a nervous smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I messed up, Rat," she said, voice trembling. "She's not you. She never will be. I want us back." I just looked at him. This was the man I'd once imagined marrying. The man I defended to friends when they warned me about his wandering attention. Now, all I saw was someone who was only sorry because he'd been caught. "Evan," I said softly, "you didn't lose me when you cheated. You lost me when you handed me your phone and expected me to thank you for it." He flinched, like the words had physically hit him. I stepped aside, letting him see the box sitting by the door. Inside were all the little tokens of our relationship, photos, cards, the sweater I used to wear of his. On top was the phone. Screen cracked from where I dropped it days ago. "Take it," I told him. "It belongs with the rest of your mistakes." I closed the door before he could respond. Through the peephole, I watched him stand there for a long moment before finally walking away. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my balcony. The city stretched out before me, glittering under the night sky, and for the first time in months, I felt calm. I thought about how easily I could have missed the truth if he'd been more careful. How many more months or years I might have wasted on someone who didn't deserve me. The truth had been sitting in my hand all along, wrapped in sleek silver edges and a pretty ribbon. He thought it was just a phone. But to me, it was a gift-wrapped goodbye.